Oh, blimey. Oh, blimey, mate. Chelsea. Chelsea. Moving into Chelsea. In it, mate. Mate. Oh, mate. Fucking hell, mate. Oh, Chadwick. Whoa. Mate. Fucking Jesus fucking Christ, mate. Football. Love the lads in football. Mate. Fucking move over, mate. I'm sounding Australian now. I live in this bloody country.
Like I said, you can recruit anyone, and I mean bloody anyone. Him, her, everyone is a secret weapon. Find them, recruit them, build the resistance. Let's unfuck this world.
Watchdogs Legion is a 2020 game and is a follow-up to it's the trilogy, isn't it? It's a follow-up to the 2016 Watchdogs 2, created by Ubisoft. I've kind of been a on and off fan with Watchdogs a little bit. The first one was obviously not everyone's cup of tea, since we're being all London and such. I saw a bit of promise in Watchdogs 2. As well as a lot of other people. I saw Watch Dogs 2 to be a vast improvement over the first one. Gone was its like gritty, dark, crappy storyline in the first one. The second one was just all about having a little bit of fun. And that's what I kind of liked about Watch Dogs 2. There's stuff I don't really understand about Watch Dogs 2, like how these guys were like meant to be hackers and these kind of like funny, humorous hackers, and they're all against taking down the big man and stuff. And they seem to be very PG-13 about it, but at the same time, they carried guns around and killed people. So this time, Watch Dogs Legion is here, and this time, Watch Dogs is set in jolly old England, isn't it? It's set in London. It's set in London. It's set in London, which is close to my heart because I used to live in London, and I'm from England, and I'm currently filming in England, so I know these streets pretty well. Instead of the previous games in the previous Watch Dogs installments, this time you are creating your own version of DedSec. You are creating your own legion of hackers and assassins and secret agents and whatever you want. Basically, you can recruit anyone to your group and play as that character. I was interested by this initially, but I was skeptical about how vast that was going to be and how different everyone was going to be every time you recruit someone. It's not like every 8 characters, 1 or 2 of them are kind of going to be the same or have similar things about them. Maybe it's their voice or maybe it's their hair. I was a little bit skeptical about it because it seemed like a big undertaking to put loads and loads of different characters into it. I am a massive fan of having games set in London. I know they did an Assassin's Creed Syndicate that was set in kind of old London, and that was interesting. Unfortunately, the game wasn't that great. It was during those Assassin's Creed period where kind of still is a bit, the Assassin's Creeds are not that great. But it hasn't been a game since the Getaway Black Monday, would you believe, all those years ago, since I played a game where I felt like I was really in London. And I love London, and it's, as I said, it's one of the cities I've lived in for a long period of time. And to see more games that are set in London is really, really great, because I'm sort of sick of the same old city. It's usually an American city. I'm sorry, Americans, I've offended you, but there's been so many games that are set in the US that you kind of just want something a little bit different. And if you get to try this game on next gen or on PC with RTX on, the reflections and everything on in this game looks really scarily real to the real London. It is absolutely amazing. It's so well detailed, this game. It's such care and attention to the back streets, the city streets, to Soho, to Camden as well. Camden looks amazing. There's lots of different areas to explore in Watch Dogs Legion. I literally went on a tour of London just to check out different spots that I've been to in real life and just had a great time doing that. It's so well made. It's such an exceptionally looking game, just in terms of the map and everything around it. It's so well detailed. I love it. It's great to see. It's also kind of weird because it's near future London as well, but at the same time, it's oddly familiar as well. There's a lot of different things that are different to what we see nowadays, I guess. I don't know. I haven't been outside for fucking months, guys. I don't even know what London looks like. I haven't traveled because lockdown and, you know, Corona. But honest to God, it looks scarily real. And I praise Ubisoft for that. Okay, so the main thing you're going to be doing in Watchdogs Legions is doing certain missions and recruiting certain people for those set of missions. So what normally happens is you start off in this game as someone who's just like an average Joe who can sneak around and, you know, maybe do a couple of hacks and stuff, and that's it. And gradually over time, you'll get access to different operatives. So these are people that you can recruit into your gang, but you usually have to do a certain mission to get that person into your gang. This happens quite a lot when there's someone of high value, aka someone who has a lot of skills that you can bring into the team and therefore use that character and use those skills. So Watchdogs Legion is kind of half doing your standard Watchdogs, infiltrating different areas and different parts of London. And then the second half is headhunting job interview game. And this brings me on to my first negative of Watchdogs Legion. It's repetitive. It's really repetitive. The thing about it is that the missions are usually quite standard. You know, there's nothing really exciting about said missions. Usually it's just infiltrate here, hack into this there. There's a lot of different things you can do, and there's ways to hack into certain areas, and depending on what character you have. If you have someone who's of like low skill level, you're probably going to have a harder time of doing a mission. Or you can have a character who has a lot of skills that you've maybe recruited to your group that's more suited for that mission and can do a lot of different fun things, whether it's using like the spider bot to hack into areas, going through grates and sneaking around corners using these electronic bots. Or you can go into that area with a character who has the right uniform to gain access to that area and just go in that way. That's really it for Watchdogs Legion in terms of mission variety, I would say. There's obviously a story here as well, and in typical Ubisoft fashion, and I would say Watchdogs fashion, the story's not great. It's your standard Watchdogs kind of story. It has a kind of cool opening and kind of cool introduction to everything. But the variety is just a bit of what we're kind of used to in Ubisoft games, I would say. There's a lack of like great writing and things I'm used to in other open world games. I know I compare it to fucking Witcher every single time I compare an open world game, but just if I was to compare it to Witcher, it's just night and day in terms of its quality of missions that are available to you. However, one feature they added to up the stakes a little bit in Watchdogs Legion, which I think every person should have this turned on as soon as you start a new game, even ask you, do you want it on? Most people will say no, but just do it because it makes the game so much better. It just raises the stakes so much. You can have permadeath turned on in Watchdogs Legion, which means if one of your operatives die, that operative is gone. Very XCOM 2-like, and I love it. This ups the stakes quite a bit because every time I go on a mission, I'm trying to decide which person I'm going to send to do this mission, which player character that I've recruited in the past am I going to send to do this mission. If I send someone who's of high value, aka they have a lot of skills, maybe it took me a long time to recruit them, if they die, I won't get them back. And it hurts inside. And I like the fact that it hurts inside. It adds an extra element, and I think it's a good combination with this type of game because you're always going to recruit people, so you'll never really run out of operatives unless you just flat out kill every single one of them that you have. But I just think it needed and adds that little bit of tension that you need in these missions because, as I said before, they're quite basic missions, but have the permadeath turned on, makes it quite interesting. Of course, this being a Ubisoft game, there are collectibles fine, there are side missions fine. There's lots of things to do on the map and extra stuff you can do on the map as well. Even though I said before that the version of London that Ubisoft have created in Watch Dogs Legion, especially on next gen, looks absolutely amazing. The city sort of kind of feels sort of dead. Like, the city feels alive. Like, it looks alive. It looks like there's so much detail and there's so much going on in terms of things you can see in this game, but it just feels like it needs a little bit more. It just feels like the city's so detailed, but it just doesn't have a bit of heart. There's a lot of pretty sights in this game, but there's just not enough going on in the streets until you get to like a mission marker or a side mission or something that has a marker on it at the very least. It just feels sort of dead. I think overall, really, though, that Watch Dogs Legion is more or less a sandbox experience rather than an open world title. It more or less, it feels like it is an open world, but in terms of open worldness and things to do in it, you've only really got the main kind of missions and the side missions. And obviously there's collectibles. I'm not really that excited. I'm kind of over collectibles at this point now, but it's a fascinating city that they've created in this game. It's truly, truly amazing to look at. And there's a lot of different details and elements, and like radio stations are really, really accurate to real life UK radio stations. I'll give them that as well. And the soundtrack is actually really, really good. Lots of different stuff, but it's missing the components of an open world where it surprises you sometimes. You know, there's not really anything here that does surprise me. Even in the missions themselves, they are very just plain and basic missions. The exciting part seems to be from the sandbox elements of grabbing the characters or recruiting those characters and getting them to play those missions. You can pick different people with different skills to do those missions. That's the kind of strategic element that you get to put into this game. I think really the excitement element of the missions and everything I did in this game came from the permadeath option, to be honest, because it became a game of risk versus rewards. Who do I send in to complete this mission? But if it goes wrong, will this person still be alive at the end of the day? That was the excitement factor for me. But at the same time, I had to create that own excitement. It just doesn't feel like the game wants to give me any. It's more of a case of, I have to turn on permadeath. I have to pick who's going to go into a mission and see if they die or not. It's not really the game giving me that excitement. It's more or less my choices. So I think on that element, in terms of what the game gives you, it gives you that playground to recruit different people who have different skills and create your own gang, which is great. But on the other side is the game doesn't give you anything back in terms of the world itself. I just wish that the game had a bit more surprises, a bit more to give to you, rather than just recruit the gang, send the gang out, and hope they don't die. I would say Watch Dogs Legion unfortunately doesn't make Watch Dogs a day one, get it as early as possible purchase just yet. I think they're getting there. I think with Watch Dogs, since Watch Dogs 1, 2 was better. This one was better in certain elements, but they missed out a big part of like making the open world just more interesting and a bit more heart to it and a bit more surprises and stuff. I think they're getting there. Maybe the next Watch Dogs might be really, really good, but it just lacks in certain areas that makes it a bit too repetitive. Once you get past the whole, oh cool, I can recruit people to my gang, it just feels very plain and basic Ubisoft game that we've kind of been used to for a long period of time, and I wish it was a little bit better, but it's still a good game. I just wouldn't run out to buy it just yet. I'm going to give Watch Dogs Legion a 7 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching this review. If it's your first time watching a review of mine, do subscribe, do check out the channel and the other 2020 games I've reviewed. I'm trying to get through as many as possible before a certain game called that rhymes with Cyberpunk comes out next week or in a few days, whenever this gets posted. So expect a lot of videos coming out, especially in the next few days, as I try to get through them all. before we end the year with my favorite games of the year, my top 10 games of the year. Yes, I'm doing a top 10 list at the end of the year. How exciting. I feel like every other YouTuber on this site. I'll see you next time. Bye.